Hey guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to North Reef City here on City Skylines. This week then, we are working on our downtown / city centre area a little bit more, and we're going to be changing some of the road layouts. That comes later though. I don't want to give too much away to begin with, but yeah, that is something we're going to work on later. For now though, I'm going to start filling in some gaps. We have this big gap here still. Between the, what do you call it, the approach roads to the main bridge, and also the area where our little parking area is and stuff like that. One thing I noticed between episodes, was we had zoning on these main roads, and we didn't need to have zoning on these main roads. So you'll see I actually go in and tweak that. That just means if we have roads that back onto the main road, the zoning areas won't conflict with one another, which personally I think is for the best. And yeah, I think it's just better, more beneficial. This area then, I think I mentioned this last time out. This is our little office area. You can see we've got a huge, actually we don't have a demand for industrial right now. We do, by the end of this episode, have a huge demand for industrial. And it made sense to zone some offices here in the city centre. For some reason though, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat already. For some reason, despite the huge demand, no offices are actually springing up. And I think it's got something to do with the fact, like, just because you have an industrial demand doesn't mean you have a demand for that kind of industry. There are, like, different, I don't know, there's, like, hidden numbers, basically, which don't always make sense. But I've seen people talk about it on Reddit. It's something along those lines. I'm sure I'll find out a little bit more about that in the future. But yeah, this is our little office area, as I was saying. So we've got this pedestrianised only area. It's not going to be a ban all road vehicles kind of city, but I do want to go for a more public transport kind of city. I've seen it done already. I've seen it on my Discord as well. I've seen it on Reddit. So it's not new. I'm not claiming to have invented the genre or anything like that. I just think it's a cool way to build your cities, and it's one that I would like to go with as well. We are still going to have some very, very heavily used roads, and I do still have a huge traffic problem over at Reef Square, which next week's episode hopefully will aim to resolve. At this point, I'm not going into transport still. I'm building some infrastructure as I go, and again, you'll see that today. But, we've got the light rail system, which does in fact receive a bit of a makeover today, which I'm very, very happy about. And we also have a couple of bus lines, which are mainly temporary right now. They're just stopgaps. Eventually, they will be done better, properly, but right now they are just stopgaps. There's nothing special about them necessarily. I had a really good thing in my head that I was going to talk about with this episode, and I've completely forgotten what it is. That sounds just like me, doesn't it? So transport. I'm trying not to use too much transport right now because I don't want to get into the same state of mind that I normally have in these games, where I build something and then, 2 episodes later I'm having to redo it because it didn't work, or, the rest of the city has evolved so much that what I originally built is outdated. I don't want to do that. I want to try and avoid that as much as possible. So because of that, I've got the infrastructure largely in place, but mostly you will see it change a lot still over the next few episodes before we actually commit to it and start placing down transport lines. Some of the bus stops and stations that you see me build so far, and will see me build for the next couple of episodes as well, slight spoiler alert for today, those are pretty much fixed in place now. They might move within the area that they're in, but they're in that area for a reason. They're kind of our satellite hubs, as it were. If anyone watched my Cities in Motion 2 series from a couple of years ago, you remember with the buses I had these satellite hubs where everything's kind of focused on those areas, and those areas are also where the tram comes through, and the metro and the monorail and the ferry, whatever it might be. They're all focused on these hubs all around the city, and that's what I want to do here as well. To be honest, a lot of my hubs are going to be built around metro stations or railway stations, but they will have bus stations attached, and then those bus stations will connect to bus lines that will go all the way around the various areas. There are moments during these episodes, by the way, where I do kind of just sit back and watch the city to check how things are going. It's nothing, they're not too long, especially when I speed it up. This is another video that it's about 2 hours in total, recorded over a couple of weeks, and then obviously shortened it down to, 35 minutes at the moment, but that might change. Wow, my throat is just... I'm fine normally when I'm talking to people, but as soon as I hit record, it's like block the throat kind of thing. It's really annoying. So yeah, what was I talking about just now? Oh, yes, observing the city. That was it. I'd like to do some videos where we do just observe the city. I don't know how well that would go. Whether it be something similar to the M4J Network overview series on OpenTTD, or whether it will just be, as shorts, basically. So just go and do a little panoramic view of the city for a minute, and then do another one somewhere else, and then another one somewhere else, and so on and so on and so on. I don't know. Not really for me to say right now. So this second area then, we're still gap filling right now. I wanted to build a central station, and right now I'm undecided as to where that central station is actually going to end up. It's probably going to be on the other side of the river to where we are now, but there might be a couple of central stations, and again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I want to do some grade separation here as well. This is kind of inspired not so much by London, but more by New York. If anyone's been to New York, I mean, my only real root knowledge of New York comes from playing Grand Theft Auto 4, so you'll have to bear with me if some of what I say isn't entirely accurate. But from what I've seen of New York in various TV shows and such like, there are... man, I messed this node up big time. That was really annoying. There are like these little drop-down type things where you come off towards the water, and then you drop down underneath the street and then back up the other side. And that's how you do a grade separated junction. It means you're not crossing over yourself, which can be kind of annoying, especially when it comes to traffic flow. So I want traffic to move as consistently as possible. And one of the best ways I've found to do that, particularly in this part of the city here, minus the annoyance of road anarchy not working, I was getting really angry with this as well. I don't know why it wasn't working. That's the annoying thing. I think I just gave up, and did it there instead. One of the ways I found to get the grade separation is with these little dive unders. Now, this is the only one we have so far. We, of course, have the flyovers down the other end of this waterside boulevard type road. But I like this. I think this looks really cool. As a concept, I think this works really well. The tunnels in this game are a weird thing, getting them to work properly. I do actually rebuild this entrance on this side in the second half of this video, and I must say it works a lot better the second time around than the first. Although that slope there does look nicer on the first time around. But yeah, we improve it, is what I'm trying to say. And traffic flow is so much better now. To be honest, though, with something that I've built in the second half of this video, this dive under probably isn't even needed anymore, but I have kept it, mainly because I saw a lot of traffic was going up this main road. I have got the vanilla overpass mod, and I will be using it. I already have a plan for where to use it over at Reef Square, and that's actually one of the things I'm going to be doing next week to try and resolve the traffic crisis that we've got ourselves into. I say I've got myself into. You guys no way responsible for my traffic inabilities. That's all on me. But yeah, this little dive under here, it's been a life changer in terms of this traffic flow. So now we can have this junction controlled a lot more efficiently and effectively, and it's better. This road here, this boulevard, I keep calling it. I suppose it is a boulevard with the tram running through the middle. You can already see with these junctions how grossly inefficient it actually is, and how inadequate it is. Basically, 2 lanes is not enough. Here in the UK, 2 lanes is pretty good for the most part. But in real life, traffic tends to be slightly more intelligent than the AI in this game. And I say that slightly tongue-in-cheek because I've been out a few times this week, and I can tell you from personal experience, not everyone behind the wheel of a car has a moderate level of intelligence, but for the most part, we're okay. So getting the AI to do what you want it to do in this game can be a bit of a cryptic puzzle. But when you crack it, it's great. The thing I don't understand with this game is the way that traffic decides to loop round on itself. So one of the major problems I've got right now with traffic is the fact that it's all... So like Reef Square, for example, the big roundabout at Reef Square, and then the two main roads either side of it heading parallel to the round. So if you imagine the water's edge, and then you've got the roundabout in front of it, the two roads that run away from the water parallel to the roundabout. I think you'll know which ones I mean when you see them. But those roads, the number of cars that go up that road just to then go along the bottom bit when they could have got that to that road via the roundabout, it makes no sense to me. But the roundabout is now clogged because of all these cars trying to do 360s round the... not even round the roundabout, round this other road. It really beggars belief, honestly. I have no idea what the hell's going on. But it drives me crazy. It really does. Redoing this parking here as well. Something else that drives me crazy is cars sticking into the ground and things like that. So we do go back and redo this parking. I think someone's singing outside. It's really weird. Wasn't expecting to hear that. Hopefully the microphone's not picking that up. But yeah, redoing this parking, trying to make it work again. I think this is how I leave it now, and I think it does work. Cars don't stick into the ground or anything, which is awesome. And then we start plugging gaps again. So you can already see the traffic using that new underpass. It's excessive for sure, but it works, so I'm happy. So now we're going into another residential-ish area. And again, looking to build... Oh, someone's drilling outside. It sounded like someone was singing. That's really, really weird. Again, hopefully the microphone's not picking that up. My God, though. What a weird noise. So yeah, trying to build like unique looking residential areas here. It's easier said than done, sure. But I'm pretty happy. Oh, this is commercial, sorry. This bit's commercial. Oh yeah, because we have commercial demand. Yeah, it's the next bit that ends up being residential, I believe. And then we do start working on the little transport area for this part of the city. Now... The creator pack for stations is something that I hadn't really had the chance to play around with much until starting this city. But this station here, the Sunken Metro Square, I think it's called. My God, it's a beautiful construction. I really, really like it. Huge props to whoever it was. I wish I knew their name. But huge props to whoever it was that actually created that. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It's amazing. Absolutely love it. And that is going to take pride of place in this part of the city. You'll see me place it down in a minute. Had some zoning issues here, which is moderately irritating. And deciding where to build that was actually a challenge in itself as well. Because it has to be somewhere, because it's a big metro station, you know, it's going to be a central hub for this part of the city. You know, you got to consider how it's going to have a bus station nearby and things like that. I wanted to get some trams up here as well. It might, in fact, be possible still to get trams up here with an idea that I've had. We'll see about that. I'm just trying to remember where I actually end up placing this. It's not there. That's for sure. Oh, yeah. I use Move It. That's it. And then we stick it right up against the road there. It's telling me it's not connected. I'm pretty sure it is connected. Oh, yeah, because I built... Yeah. Sorry, this is the part that I recorded a couple of weeks ago now. So I'm kind of second-guessing myself as to what I do. But yeah, this is it connected up. It's got the bus road there. And it's such a nice-looking station. I cannot wait to see it in operation. I think it's going to look really, really cool. But again, like I said earlier, right now I'm just placing infrastructure. I have no idea how this is going to look in the grand scheme of things. Whether it's going to remain like this or whether it's going to be shifted around slightly. I don't know. I do not know. And I don't know how my metro lines are going to work yet either. Again, hopefully no problem. We will see. This little stub here, this bus lane, I'm actually planning, you'll see in a second, I switch the bus station around here. Use Move It again. And I was toying with the idea of having a bus rapid transit line, or at least a bus rapid transit road. This is from a conversation I had with George on Discord, he's converting some of his bus routes to BRTs. And I want to start off with BRTs specifically so I don't have to convert. Right now, most of the traffic in this city is people moving from one place to another. There's a lot of commercial traffic as well. There's a few goods vehicles and stuff like that. But the majority of it is cars. You can see here, just this junction alone, it's cars. People trying to get into shop, trying to park, things like that. The bus is a great way to resolve that issue. Particularly when it's people travelling from Reef Square over to here. So getting a BRT line in is kind of a priority. And that's actually one of the things as well. Excuse me, I've got hiccups now. That's going to be one of the things as well that I'll be focusing on next week. So grade separating junctions, that's a big priority. And also getting a bus rapid transit line. Now you will see me, I think you'll see me in this episode, place down a bus line. I do place down a bus line, I can't remember if I've recorded it or not, between this bus station and the one at Reef Square. I guess not, because it was running when I started recording this part of the video. We're in the second part of the video now, I'll talk about that in a sec. Actually, I'll talk about it now, because you're kind of seeing me do some big changes here. I'll talk about both, it's fine. So yeah, getting a BRT in that crosses the water, that would be a big priority. I've got some mods to help with that, some assets to help with that. And I look forward to getting onto those as well for next week's episode. So yeah, I didn't like this road. The 2 lanes in each direction was annoying me. The fact that the tram was crossing over the roads as well. I talked before about having a completely grade separated light railway. Not every tram line in this city is going to be grade separated, by the way. But this one, considering it's one of the main routes through the city centre here, particularly the bit where it goes up and over the bridge, I wanted all that to be separate from the roads here. And the only realistic way I could think to do that was by rebuilding this road to have 4 lanes in each direction rather than the previous 2, and having the tram track run through the middle. And that's what we end up doing here. So you'll see I start off, we got 4 lanes heading up the screen right now, and then we add the tram line in here. Technically this is a light rail line. It's used for trams, but it is named light rail, so that's kind of where the idea came from. I kind of want this to be a bit like what I did in Cities in Motion as well. The great thing about playing this game, this is the sequel technically to Cities in Motion 2. So some things do work very, very similarly, including the fact that you can have trams run separate. You can have trams run underground, overground, wobbling free. You know, I might as well make that joke before someone else does. The fact you can have it running either separate or integrated, that's a big, big thing for me. It makes the opportunities and the possibilities so much more vast than they otherwise would be. Something I'm not a fan of with Transport Fever is you can't do that. I think I think Transport Fever 1, there was a way of having trams run separate, but I think Transport Fever 2 there currently isn't. Unless there is and I haven't found it yet. That's also plausible. But yeah, to be able to run segregated traffic here was a big deal for me. And I was toying with the idea of still having the tram track cross the main road on the level where the bridge approach is. You will see in the end I opt against that and go for full grade separation. I also redo the tram stop here. Where is it? Here, where Arena Island splits off, as well as making it accessible from both directions, Arena Island. Previously, it was only accessible from the right-hand side from where we're looking now, but I do in fact tweak it so that it becomes accessible from the left as well. And I'm kind of happy with how I ended up doing that. I think it was a pretty clever way of doing it. Plus, this junction here gets tidied up a lot more. It just looks a lot nicer, a lot more inviting. And just better. Everything's better. Traffic flow on this side of the river is perfect. Traffic flow on the other side of the river is god-awful. And that will be one of my priorities, like I said, next week, is going back and redoing that. Because I didn't anticipate Reef Square would be so dense when I first started it. Because it's not the city centre. You know, I keep saying that every week. It's not the city centre, Reef Square. It's just a district across the river from the city centre. Also, ignore my ugly road placements here. I just wanted to get the roads down, and then I was going to use Move It to prettify it. and make it look nicer. Beautify it, maybe, not prettify it, because that sounds awful. Doesn't sound like a word for a start. I don't think it is a word. So yeah, just get these down in place and then use move it to make it look nicer. The nodes still aren't perfect. I just wanted to get this practically working first, and then I'll come back through and make it aesthetically pleasing after. This bit here, for example, is janky as anything right now, because of the way I placed the nodes down, and it's just not very nice. We fixed that. Don't worry, it will get fixed. But yeah, this road already is starting to look so much nicer. The only downside right now is there's no trees. That's very easily fixed. If I just get the prop line tool and smack some trees down, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm telling myself this more than anything right now. It'll be fine. One other thing, by the way. So the update that came recently as part of the airports DLC, there was a free update as well. And part of the free update was you can now place, or you can change trees on a road. So that those little roads there with the trees on, you can actually, if you go into the tree tool and then click on the road, it'll swap out the trees already on the road for the ones you've got selected. Such a little minute detail that makes such a big difference. It's ridiculous actually how big a deal that is. Like how tiny that feature is in comparison to some of the other parts of this game, and yet the possibilities that it opens now. Because like some of these roads I've avoided using because I don't like the trees on them. And there are mods where you can come through and change the trees, but it's a bit of a faff. So I do actually now have inbuilt into the game the ability to come through and change what type of trees that the road has. It's just, you know, to use the pun again, it's a literal game changer. And I'm really, really happy that they've brought that in. One thing Colossal Order are good at is making small, minute changes that have no real significance, but are still amazing when you actually start using them. Just, you know, the ability to name roads even was something that no one really was demanding. Some people were asking for it, sure, but no one was really demanding it. But the fact that they actually brought it in, suddenly you can name your streets, and, you know, you can then name your bus stops or your stations after your streets. And it's really cool. I think it's really cool anyway. Some people might disagree. Yeah. So we've redone these roads. That was one thing I was going to talk about. And the other part of this is I was making this junction here a little bit tighter. So trying to get the road here to be a little bit closer so that it looks like a motorway junction where the on and off ramps are right next to the main road, rather than what we had before, which was these big balloon loop type things. I might actually go and do the same thing with our diverging diamond interchange, just for the sake of making it look nicer, basically, and not awful like it is now. Mind you, some of these, like having to use move it to fix these as well, ugh, it's not nice. But yeah, straightening this side as well. The nodes look awful for a little bit while you're doing it, and you know, I was kind of running the risk here of messing it all up, but thankfully I didn't, which I'm very happy about. I might even extend this road up a little bit more. Maybe. I don't want to commit to that, actually, because it might not happen. But yeah, just trying to make this look nicer, because right now it looks a little bit iffy. I'm not a huge fan of like that little blue thing under the top ramp there, where you kind of see through the world. Not a big fan of that. I do fix it there just by lowering that down a little bit more and tidy up the other side as well. This junction looks a lot cleaner and tidier now. I'm very happy with it. There's a couple where I looked at it before and I was like, it's not great. Like, again, I built it for practicality. Now I'm going back and actually tweaking it to make it look nice as well, which is something I didn't used to do, but I'm starting to do a lot more. And it seems to work out quite well, so I'm happy. Redoing the traffic lights here too. Adding the traffic lights here as well. And again, we got a nice flow of traffic on this side of the water. I need to just look up some videos on how to do traffic management in this game, because sometimes I get it spot on and sometimes I don't. And when I don't, I mess it up big time. You're also about to see me make a mistake here, because I had it here, so it's 4 lanes normally, but then when 2 lanes turn off, it's supposed to be 2 lanes that carry on until 2 lanes join it again, and then it goes back to 4. For some reason, I completely forgot that rule here. and I put the 6 lanes down, and then added this section in, so that it's 4 lanes go straight on, and 2 lanes turn off, which is fine. You know, the lane maths works. But then you factor in the fact that 2 lanes join it again further up, and then suddenly you've got 2 lanes joining into 4, which should make it go up to 6 again, but it shouldn't have been 2 into 4, it should have been 2 into 2 to make it 4. So basically I'd done goofed. So you'll see me realise that in a second, and I do go back and change it back to how it should be. There we go, I've changed it back. Again, I feel for my missus, because I'm sat here recording quite quietly a lot of the time. Like, we had some music on, we were sitting chatting, things like that. And then out of nowhere, I start, swearing at myself because I've messed this up. And it must make me sound like a crazy person, because, suddenly I'm shouting and swearing at the screen when, like, 10 seconds previously I was nice and calm. I'm an angry gamer. Even games like this, I'm an angry gamer. I was getting annoyed at that node up there as well for just being weird. Sometimes this game, like I said, it does weird things. Now, obviously, the nodes in this game aren't designed to do what I'm trying to get it to do right now. So, not in any way blaming the devs, but at the same time, by God, it's annoying when these things don't work properly. It's annoying as anything. But, these ramps are reasonably okay. The only time you notice it, really, is when you're in first-person mode. Otherwise, it's fine. It's no big deal. And then, yeah, we do the lane math again, and it's all hunky-dory and good. And it works quite well, I like to think. There is a little bit of lane changing and lane switching that needs to go on. I do, in fact, I think I need to change that bit there where I had the 2 going into the 2 and the 2 going into the 4. I think I messed that up, so I might have to go tweak that again. But otherwise, it's fine. This is where we start going into grade separation then. So at this point, I noticed I had to build the triangular junction again for the tram. I was trying to work out a way to do that. I decided to elevate the platforms here. And then originally I was going to have it run back down to ground level again and then back up for the arena. But then that kind of... it probably would have worked, but it also would have looked a bit stupid, because it has to come down just to then go back up again. And I think on this part of the frontage, at least, this is the only section where it needs to be elevated, these 2 little bits. So I just kept it elevated between the 2. You'll see here I bumped this up. I think I bumped it up way too high to begin with and ended up adjusting it. But then set all these to the same level, and it actually looks quite nice. And it can be a bit of an eyesore, I suppose, if you live on the front. But then at the same time, I tried to make the support pillars as unobtrusive as possible, so you should still be able to get a view straight through underneath them to the water. We do have a little bit of an issue here where the bridges above do kind of get in the way of the overhead wires here. I think I've fixed it. I noticed that this was a little too high. The vehicles, yes, they were sunk into the ground slightly, but I did use the bus there as a guide to see roughly how high these bridges needed to be, and from that I was able to lower it down a little bit more. And save some room that way. Alternatively, one thing I was going to do was lower the road here in general, and then get it to work that way. But it seems fine. It seems fine. If I need to do anything, I'll probably lower the road or raise the road on the bridge, just to get the wires through. From what I saw, I think again I finished tweaking with this after I'd finished recording the video. But it seems to be okay now, so I'm relatively happy. This is our new triangular station then. As I said when I first built it, trains, or trams in this case, will be able to stop in all 3 directions. Obviously, they won't be able to go straight on if they go around the right-hand leg and so on and so forth. But it just, it's a nice little hub here. It's kind of close to the metro station up the hill. It's within a walking distance anyway, so it should be... it should sort of be considered an interchange. I wouldn't say it's exactly one, but it kind of is. We'll see how well that works. And then the final piece of this part of the puzzle, at least, is the reconnection of this underpass, which kind of looks ugly here. I do get the tunnel entrance at least to look nice. And originally I was trying to find a way to get this to dive under. I almost went for an overpass instead and just elevated it. But I decided to keep it like this just to hide it. So that when you're, again, if you're walking along the front there, you don't want this big bridge getting in the way. Plus we've already got an overpass further down the road. So I wanted to try and avoid that. So I went with the underpass again, and I made the waterfront road, this one here, elevated, just so that we don't get that weird terrain glitch. It seems to work. I'm happy with it, so no complaints from me. I went with the bridge one there just for a bit of colour diversity as well. Then come through with the train tool and cover up the tunnel a little bit more. Again, this is something when we get to beautifying this part of the city, I'll come through here again and plant some trees and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm happy with how this is starting to look now. I'm really happy with how this is starting to look. The city as a whole is starting to fall nicely into place now, and you can kind of see where my inspirations are coming from. But at the same time, how I've put my own spin on them as well, which I'm, again, really happy about. There is one last piece of the puzzle coming up. Oh yeah, this node is really weird. I might have to rebuild this node because of what you saw there with the lane connectors. Vehicles slow right down there and then speed up again. So something isn't quite right with the node. So I will come through and fix that. I'll probably do that when I grab the thumbnail for this video, in fact. But yeah, the one last piece of the puzzle then is this. How to connect up Arena Island again. Now, I went with the old tried and trusted method of a roundabout. Originally, it's 2-lane here. It does get bumped up to 4. There's no access from Arena Island to the main road above there. You do have to kind of go a You have to go a roundabout way. Circuitous, I think, is the word I'm looking for. But I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Probably isn't, knowing me. But yeah, I like how this works as well. I've actually managed to tuck it in underneath the light rail station, which I was really happy about as well. It's a bit of a misshapen roundabout. I wouldn't describe it as circular. It's more of a, custom shape. Ignore how it looks here. I do come through and tweak this again in a second to make it look nicer again. But I was happy with the placement of these nodes because it made my life a lot easier when it actually came to placing the entrance and exit roads to this roundabout. And we end up with a nice little shape here. It feeds the vehicles in the direction that they want to go in, which I was, again, very happy about. So we got our Arena Island entranceway all working again, which I was very happy about. The bus that runs to the arena, I was tempted to make that a BRT line as well, and maybe having the BRT line on a bridge next to this. So I was contemplating the idea of having the BRT running alongside the front here, maybe at a slightly lower level, and then having it every time there's an interchange, say, either having it dive underground or go over the top if that's possible, or even just having it as a level junction. It very much depends. But having the BRT run to and from the arena as well would be good. The reason for that is right now the buses are all getting caught up in traffic, so to have them separate would be great. And if we have, so the arena line is the one that runs to the arena, obviously, and currently the city line is the one that runs into the city from Reef Square. Whether or not that stays the case, I don't know, but that's what they're called right now. The names, I think, will change. I think that's pretty much guaranteed at this point. But yeah, having the BRT run from the city centre here over to Reef Square via Arena Island, even if there are some sections where the bus runs on regular road, I still think that would be for the best. Anyway, we're coming up to the end of the episode now. I will in the future like to do some glamour shots at the end of an episode, or maybe even at the start, just to show you guys what's actually built. The reason I haven't done that up to now is I keep forgetting to record them. And then, as you know, I keep forgetting to do the screenshots for the thumbnails as well. So that is something I will go and work on, so I don't keep forgetting to do these things, because they are kind of important. But yeah, that's basically it for this episode, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series so far. Drop those comments down below with ideas for future episodes. Any advice is always appreciated, especially when it comes to traffic management. You know, everyone knows that's the hardest part of this game a lot of the time. So any advice, any hand-holding there will be very much appreciated. Besides all that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It really does help me out. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. You really have helped me out. And with a couple of more little details here and there at the end of this episode, I think I bumped the speed limit up. Yeah, I bumped the speed limit up to 50 on the front here as well, just to get people moving along a little bit faster. But yeah, until next time, guys, which will be next Wednesday, not Friday, don't forget, because there's no Railroads Online on Wednesday. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.